It's called Hair, Clothes and Feet. Hair, Clothes and Feet. And we're going to start off with a word from Luke's Gospel, and Daniel is going to read that to us. You can take it. Fantastic. Well done. Thank you so much. That was great, Daniel. Good reading. Well done. Now, if you're in Zoom as well, you can do this. Draw out one strand of your hair. Just try and feel one strand of your hair. Can you feel it? I know it's easier for some than for others to find the hair up there. But how many hairs do you think you've got? Any idea how many hairs you've got? Nope. I'll tell you later on, all right? I'll tell you later on, right? It's a secret for that later on. Now, how many people know your name? A lot of people know your name? Yeah, a lot of people know your name. How many people know the colour of your eyes? It's going to be less, isn't it? It's going to be less in there as well. It's a lot less. There are less and less people that know more and more about you. Your mum and dad, those that care for you, know much more than those that you maybe just meet in the streets. I used to laugh a lot in my sleep when I was a wee boy. That was one of the things that I did. I laughed in my sleep. And only really my mum and my dad knew that, my brother I guess as well. But very few people know that kind of thing. Only family know that kind of thing. Unless I tell you, everybody here knows this as well. And so when Jesus says to us, God has even counted the very hairs on your heads, don't be afraid. What he is speaking about is how much God cares for us and knows us. My mum knew that I laughed in my sleep because she was close enough to hear and to care enough to be listening. And that God has even numbered the hairs in our head. Each one of us is a way of saying, this is how close God is to us. How much he is interested and cares for us. Whatever age we are, God is alongside us and with us. I don't really know how many hairs are on my head. There is an average of around 100,000. Although I understand redheads are slightly less, but I'm not sure if that's the case. So I need to do some more testing on that, we'll see. But God does. God knows how many hairs are on my head. He knows me better than I know myself. And so when God says, don't be afraid, you're worth so much, I know you and care for you, then I can trust him to walk with me and care for me when I'm finding things difficult. Now John is going to come up and give us the second verse we're going to pick up on here. Let me just wipe that wee microphone there for a moment. I might need to make this a wee bit taller. Consider how the wildflowers grow. They do not labor or spin. If I tell you, what even Solomon in all his splendor would dress like one of these. Excellent. Thank you. If you're on Zoom, just have a wee touch your cloth there as well. Or if you're in here, just feel the cloth, feel the quality of your clothes, the cloth in there as well. Now, we've got we've just poured out a very large box of wildflowers down the edge of part of our garden, hoping that they're going to go wild down the side of our fence with a riot of colour when they grow up. And wildflowers are just so beautiful. Bluebells and woods, buttercups across the fields. There is a house just down the road from us here, just down there. It's opposite the road that I turn from when I come up the street here. And it'll be 2 years now. It's 2 years. It's before lockdown, I guess. When I turned around the corner, I saw this huge triangle of wildflowers growing just next to their driveway, and it was just bursting with colour from all these wildflowers. So much so that I went up to his door and knocked on his door and said, "How did you do that?" Because we've been trying to do that up the side of the church for a while now. So I wanted tips on it. And these wildflowers were utterly beautiful in all their colour and their randomness, their different heights, the different shapes, and how the sun came off them. And they point to the wonder and the beauty and the glory of God's creation, what God has made. And Jesus shares this thought about wildflowers to say to us, look, don't worry about things. Remember that you are part of God's glorious creation. We've seen signs of it all at the waterfall in the jungle and here all around us. You're not apart from this. broken and looking in, but you are along with all this beauty and wonder and glory of the world around us. Part of the wonder that God has created. You are part of that. You are wonderfully made, as the psalm puts it. And more than that, when we do get broken at times, God gives us new clothes to wear that will heal us. In Isaiah 61, God promises you a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. You'll be called oaks of righteousness and a planting of the Lord to display His splendor. That's who we are. And when we do feel broken and worried, remember you're part of God's glorious, beautiful, wondrous creation. And He dresses you not just in the wonder of all His creation, but also in the work of healing, of praise, of joy through the gift of Jesus as we receive His Spirit in our hearts. I'm going to ask Dan if he'd come up. Let me just wipe that again. We need one of these self-cleaning things, don't we? A spray or something that goes on it. There we go.
Romans chapter 10, verse 15. And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news.
Fantastic, Dan. Good. Thank you very much. I like this bit. Let's hear you make a noise with your feet. Start with. Okay, we're going to do a wee bit of magic here. So I want you to start very slowly, very quietly, and we'll build it up slowly to a crescendo. Okay, so just get ready. Just nice and gentle to start with. A bit louder. A bit louder. A bit louder. Stop. Excellent. That was nice music you're making there. Part of our story is to use our feet to take the good news out, to go and share the news with people. That news about hair that Dan shared on it speaks about how much God cares for each one of us. Some people don't really feel that anyone cares for them. And here is the good news that God is for you and cares for you and is with you. Some people feel kind of broken, and here is the good news that without having to do anything or be anything, you're already part of God's joyful, beautiful, glorious creation. And more than that, if you're feeling that sadness just now, then Jesus brings the gift of new clothes, of garments of praise, a chance to put joy on instead of sadness. Our good news is that this is given through Jesus. Our good news is that every day God's blessings are renewed and we can say yes to them. Our good news is that God knows us and cares for us even more than we do ourselves, and that we are part of God's joyful, glorious creation. And when we get broken and hurt, Jesus comes and stands with us to give us beauty instead of ashes, joy instead of sadness. This is our good news. One of my favourite songs is by Paolo Nutini, which says, "Hey, I put some new shoes on, and suddenly everything's right. I put some new shoes on, everybody's smiling, it's so inviting." I feel like singing it. And over the summer, maybe we can all put on new shoes that takes us out to share the good news that we have found in Jesus this summer. Amen.